Imagine the economy of a nation skyrocketing within 10 years. Poverty slashed, GDP skyrocketing, entire industries born. That's exactly what the countries on our countdown have achieved. We'll reveal the 10 countries that transformed their economies in just a decade. Let's dive in. Israel may be small geographically, but its economy packs a punch. Over the past decade, Israel averaged about 3.9% annual GDP growth despite regional challenges. It has built a globally competitive high-tech and innovation-driven economy, nicknamed the Startup Nation. Israel is now a world leader in cybersecurity, AI, and biotech. In 2024, its GDP reached around $540 billion, and GDP per capita exceeded $54,000, among the highest worldwide. Tech giants and startups fuel exports. Think semiconductors, medical tech, military drones, giving Israel a robust and diversified economy. In short, Israel reinvented itself from a middle-income country into a high-tech powerhouse in just a decade. Singapore's transformation is often called a miracle. In just a few decades after independence in 1965, it went from a developing port city to a high-income global hub. Its GDP per capita has skyrocketed 23-fold since 1960 and is now about twice that of Western Europe. Singapore's mix of pro-business policies, education investment, and strategic location made it a financial, trading, and tourism magnet. Today, it hosts world-class banks, technology firms, and one of the busiest ports on Earth. Despite its small size, Singapore's economy is huge per capita, ranking among the richest in the world. This tiny nation's rapid climb to prosperity makes it a classic example of economic transformation. South Korea's rise is nothing short of dramatic. In the mid-20th century, it was a war-torn, impoverished country. Today, it's a technology and manufacturing giant. Remarkably, South Koreans are now 32 times richer than they were in 1950. This miracle on the Han River was driven by huge investments in education, industry, think Samsung, Hyundai, and exports. In the 2010s, Korea maintained strong growth as it shifted from heavy industry to electronics, vehicles, and services. Its per capita income climbed alongside dramatic social change. Life expectancy and living standards shot up. In one generation, South Korea went from famine to a $2 trillion economy, a staggering transformation by any measure. Saudi Arabia is using its oil wealth to re-engineer its economy. The government's Vision 2030 plan, launched in 2016, aims to diversify away from oil, and it's making headway. In recent years, non-oil sectors have grown near 5% annually. Tourism, entertainment, and high-tech projects are booming. For example, Riyadh and the Red Sea coast are being turned into new tourism hubs, and Saudi is investing heavily in renewable energy and tech startups. The IMF notes that reforms, like new business laws and large investment funds, have boosted entrepreneurship and foreign investment. In short, Saudi Arabia's economy is in the midst of a transformation, still powered by oil, but rapidly expanding into new industries. By 2023, its overall GDP surpassed $1 trillion PPP, and it's the world's largest Arab economy. This pivot from an oil-dependent state to a more diversified economy is one of the biggest changes on our list. The UAE, think Dubai and Abu Dhabi, has turned tiny desert sheikdoms into a global business hub. Its leaders deliberately built world-class airports, ports, hotels, and free trade zones to attract companies. Today, about 71% of the UAE's GDP comes from non-oil sectors, a huge shift from decades when oil was almost 90% of income. Tourism, finance, aviation, and real estate drive the economy now. Dubai's skyline, with the Burj Khalifa, symbolizes this leap. As of 2018, the UAE hosted 25% of the world's top 500 companies, and ranked 14th globally for foreign investment. It also aggressively grows new fields. It has major solar and nuclear projects and is even building a $3.9 billion casino resort to boost tourism. In short, the UAE leveraged oil revenue to build an open, diversified economy, an impressive transformation in just a few decades. Indonesia, A vast archipelago of 270 million people has quietly become a major success story. It is now the world's 10th largest economy by purchasing power. Since overcoming the 1997-98 Asian financial crisis, Indonesia's annual growth has averaged around 5%. It has cut its poverty rate by more than half since 1999, from over 40% of people to under 10% by 2019. Modern Indonesia's economy is diverse. It's a top producer of palm oil and natural resources, and its manufacturing and services sectors are expanding. Jakarta and other cities have new airports and mass transit, fueling a middle-class boom. It also completed its G20 leadership in 2022, reflecting its global stature. All told, Indonesia's economic and social progress in the last decade has been remarkable, especially given its huge population and development challenges. Bangladesh has been dubbed the next Asian tiger for a reason. After decades of turmoil, in the past 10 years, its GDP more than doubled, from about $207 billion in 2014 to over $455 billion today, an increase of 120%. It achieved this largely through a booming ready-made garment industry and strong policies on trade and investment. In fact, 84% of Bangladesh's exports now come from clothing, employing millions of workers, mostly women. This export boom drove 7% annual growth for a decade. As a result, Bangladesh has gone from the world's 50th economy to 35th largest in the world. Poverty and hunger have plummeted. The poverty rate was cut nearly in half in 10 years. It also surpassed neighboring India in GDP per capita. Bangladesh's gritty industrialization story, turning an impoverished agrarian society into a major exporter, is a true decade-long transformation. Vietnam's economy has been on fire since it opened up. In the 1980s, Vietnam was war-ravaged, but economic reforms, Doi Moi, changed everything. In the 2010s, Vietnam grew at about 6 to 7% per year, one of the fastest rates in the world. Even in the pandemic year of 2020, it managed 2.9% growth. While most countries shrank, Vietnam is now a global manufacturing hub. It produces electronics, clothing, and furniture for Western markets. Foreign investment flooded in when companies relocated factories from China, boosting jobs. The results are dramatic. Since 1986, real GDP per capita soared from under $700 to almost $4,500 by 2023. Likewise, poverty fell from 14% of people in 2010 to under 4% by 2023. Today, Vietnam is racing toward high-income status. Its booming tech parks in Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi and new export factories make it a clear example of a nation that retooled its economy in just a generation. Really, a decade at a time. India has been on a tear in recent years. The world's second most populous nation saw its economy surge, driven by tech, services, and infrastructure. From 2011 to 2019, it halved its extreme poverty rate, a staggering social change. By mid-2020s, India was posting 8% yearly GDP growth, higher than any other large economy. It now boasts about 8,500 tech startups and hundreds of unicorns, turning Bangalore, Mumbai, and Hyderabad into global tech centers. That growth brought a growing middle class, new highways, and new skyscrapers from Mumbai to Delhi. India's GDP roughly doubled in 10 years, from about $2 trillion in 2014 to nearly $4 trillion in 2024, a 93% increase. Through bold reforms like demonetization, goods and services tax, and massive welfare programs, India leaped forward. In short, India's journey from widespread poverty to becoming an economic heavyweight is the story of a decade of transformation. No country has transformed as massively or rapidly as China. Since it opened its economy in 1978, China's GDP growth has averaged over 9% per year, lifting 800 million people out of poverty. Over roughly 40 years, it became the world's factory, and then the world's second-largest economy, now nearly $19 trillion. In just the last decade, China's economy grew by about 76%. Remarkably, China eradicated extreme poverty in 2020. Today, even as it transitions from exports to services, it still grew 5% in early 2024. The numbers tell the tale. The average Chinese person is now 16 times richer than in 1950. Megacities like Shanghai and Shenzhen rose from rice paddies to steel and glass skylines. China's high-speed rails, advanced tech, world-leading in 5G, AI, electric cars, and Belt and Road infrastructure have reshaped the global economy. In sum, China's rapid ascent is our #1 example of a decade-long transformation. Hundreds of millions lifted up in record time. Each of these 10 nations rewrote their economic story in remarkably short order. From rural poverty to booming cities, they boosted incomes and cut destitution in ways that seemed impossible a decade ago. These are the 10 countries that transformed their economies in just a decade, a mix of tech hubs, energy giants, and manufacturing hotbeds. Their experiences show how smart policies, global trade, and innovation can fuel astonishing change. Which one surprised you the most? Or did we miss a country you think should have made the list? Tell us your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like, subscribe to Fact Voyage, and hit the bell so you never miss a journey through the world's most fascinating trends and statistics. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.